Financial Grown-Up Guide, the top new money books for grown-ups right now, July 2019 edition. You're listening to Financial Grown-Up with me, certified financial planner, Bobbi Rebell, author of How to Be a Financial Grown-Up. And you know what? Being a grown-up is really hard, especially when it comes to money. But it's okay. We're going to get there together. We got this. Welcome to a new installment of our monthly feature here on the Financial Grown-Up Podcast. Quick reviews of the money books we are living right now, and we think you might want to check out. These are recommendations, so I am going to focus on why I was drawn to these books and what I got out of them and who they might be right for, because not every book is right for everyone. Full disclosure, we focus on books written by authors that appear on the podcast because when we love books, we try to get the authors on the podcast, and we love hearing the backstory behind the books and all those extra little details that you get to hear when you listen to the author episodes. So to do that, we will, of course, leave links to their original episodes. You can find the show notes with those links at bobbirebell.com/financial grown-up podcast, or you can just search for them. There's search bars on my website, and there's also search in pretty much every podcast application. So you can just search Financial Grown-Up and the author's name. The books we are going to discuss in this episode there are three, by the way. Number one, Mom and Dad, We Need to Talk, How to Have Essential Conversations with Your Parents About Their Finances. This is by Cameron Huddleston. The second book is Clever Girl Finance, Ditch Debt, Save Money, and Build Real Wealth by Bola Sokunbi. And the third book is Agent of Influence, How to Use Spy Skills to Sell Anything and Build a Successful Business. That is by Jason Hanson. And yes, he is a former CIA officer. Lots of interesting things in Jason's episode. You should definitely check it out. Let's get to it, though. The first book holds a special place in my heart. I've known the author, Cameron Huddleston, for a few years, and I feel like I had a front row seat seeing how this book evolved and came together based on her own extremely intense personal experience. And that's how a lot of the best books really do come together, is because of something that happened to the author. That is the case, and hearing her personal story is a big part of the book. Okay, so to review, the book is called Mom and Dad, We Need to Talk, How to Have Essential Conversations with Your Parents About Their Finances. I was also honored. Cameron asked me to write a blurb for the back cover, so please be sure to check that out if you do pick up the book. Here is what I loved about Cameron's book. First of all, this is one of those taboo topics, talking to your parents about money, but it should not be, but it is. I've talked about the fact that I don't want to talk to my parents about money. I don't want to talk to my in-laws about money. None of those people. I don't even want to know. But this book gives you a roadmap and it gives you specific tools. And you really need to have this conversation. It's such a taboo, like I said, but we've got to get over it. And Cameron has a lot to help us. The second thing I loved about it is that the solutions in her book are extremely specific for people like me that don't want to deal with it. So for example, one chapter, chapter 8, in case you want to skip to it when you get the book, is literally called A Step-by-Step Approach to a Successful Conversation. And it includes things that should be obvious, but are not to some of us, like listening without bias and writing everything down. So when you have that conversation, it's okay to actually take notes. And for those of you asking yourself, what if it doesn't work? Well, she even has a chapter for that called If at First You Don't Succeed. And then finally, at the very end of the book, there is a long and specific list of additional resources that will just simply save you a ton of time, because sometimes we just don't know where to look for all these little things that we need: templates, organizational tools, resources, and such. Who is this book for? Well, it is for everyone with parents or anyone that has older relatives or friends that they either have financial ties to or that they could possibly have to care for in the future. Because remember, if you have to care for somebody, that has to be funded. You need to figure out how to pay for, let's say, if you're going to arrange for their groceries to be delivered or something, if they're living at home, but they can't quite do everything themselves, You need to have access or know who to ask to have access to whatever funds are going to pay for those things that are going to help the person that you love. So it's really important to know the right information ahead of time before it's needed, because as Cameron points out in the book, sometimes it's too late when the person is already struggling with getting older, their mind not working as well as it used to, or perhaps an unexpected illness. The time is really now, and putting together those resources before you need them. Book number 2, little more upbeat note, but equally important, is called Clever Girl Finance, Ditch Debt, Save Money, and Build Real Wealth. It is by Bola Sokunbi. Bola has developed a huge following. She's really big on social media, guys, because of her incredible story, saving $100,000 in 3 years after college, and she is a huge advocate for women's financial independence. She is a certified financial educator. She also has a podcast by that name and has been featured in countless media outlets, including Money Magazine and ABC News. This book is an extension of the popular website and all of those social media channels, Clever Girl Finance. Here are just some of the things that I liked about Bola's book. First of all, she admits to her own money mistakes, like the time she celebrated that $100,000 in savings by spending thousands on a Chanel bag. And by the way, that wasn't the only bag she bought. She basically got a whole collection together of handbags. It actually happened. She talked about it on her original Financial Grownup episode. You guys can check it out. It'll be in the show notes. We've all had that moment. If it's not money, then it's something else, like celebrating a weight loss by eating something you're not allowed to have on the plan that got you to lose the weight. Not logical. We've all done it. Let's be honest. Number 2, she also includes real-world examples through case studies and interviews with women who have come back from severe debt to financial freedom and the opportunities that the success has provided. The stories are motivating and inspiring. And number 3, speaking of inspiring, I love the inspirational quotes that Bola includes. Some are from big names like Oprah Winfrey. One of the quotes from her was, quote, "Surround yourself only with people who are going to lift you higher." I like that one. And then some are directly from Bola and hit the mark, including, quote, "Knowing where you stand financially will help you make plans for where you want to go," unquote. Who is this book for? It is aimed at a beginner audience, but is a great refresher for those who already are on the path to financial independence. While in theory, it is aimed at women, absolutely. Not just in theory, that is her title, if we're being honest. But I have to say, I don't think there's much in this book that is limited to women or that excludes men. So I would say to the men in the audience not to let the title keep you from checking out the book if it looks interesting. And before we get to book number 3, I do want to share with you a new reading tool that I am really into these days because I love to read, but I am literally never caught up. I have a really big stack on my nightstand. After I read the books for the show, maybe something for my book club, it's just not happening. And that had been making me really sad. But then I recently found a solution. It is an app called Blinkist, Blinkist. They take the books that we are dying to read, especially a lot of nonfiction, self-help, and instructional books, which are the kinds of things that I always want to read but don't always get to fully. They break them down into segments. They call them blinks, little 1-minute-ish summaries we can read or we can listen to on pretty much any device. You can read little parts of it. If you read an entire book, it might take you 15 minutes about. Kind of like this podcast. You can check it out at bobbirebell.com/Blinkist. We have a link in the show notes on my website, bobbirebell.com. And if you like it, please DM me on Instagram at BobbiRebell1 or on Twitter at BobbiRebell and tell me what you are reading so I can share it with the financial grown-up community. Let's get back to our book recommendations. The third book this month is one that had seemed familiar when I heard the author's name, but I couldn't remember where I knew him from. Then I realized what it was. I had seen him on Shark Tank, where his pitch got a deal from Damon John, who is now an investor. The book is called Agent of Influence: How to Use Spy Skills to Persuade Anyone, Sell Anything, and Build a Successful Business. It is by former CIA officer Jason Hanson, founder of Spy Escape and Evasion. He is also the author of the New York Times bestseller, Spy Secrets That Can Save Your Life. The basic premise of this book is that spy skills are also business skills. Here's what I like about it. The book has techniques that I had never heard of, that I'm betting a lot of very sophisticated people, especially in sales, probably have used on me, probably very effectively. You feel like you are being let into a secret club where everyone knows things that you don't, and now you are finally getting in on the secret ways things really work. I also like the fact that many of the specific skills taught in the book can translate into ways to be more successful in getting what you want in life, not just getting a sale or a deal. For example, Jason teaches readers how to get information from a conversation by looking at what is being communicated outside of the actual words. So, for example, how to analyze facial expression, gestures, posture, eye contact, someone's tone of voice, how close they stand to you. Do they physically touch you? Do they physically touch other people? Even the pace of their breathing. And he even gives ways that you can assess more than the words when you're on a phone conversation with somebody. Things I never thought about. But now I realize they really do tell you a lot about what is really going on. Using that extra information gives you an edge. Another thing that I liked about this book, almost as a case study, Jason shares his behind-the-scenes experience on Shark Tank and how he spent a ton of time not just researching the sharks to impress them, but also learning who would be the best fit for his business so that he could target that person and reel in the shark. In this case, he wanted a deal with Daymond John. He came in knowing that because he knew enough about what Daymond was interested in to know that he would be the most effective partner. And even though he got 2 deal offers, he knew he wanted to work with Daymond John. So he explains more in the book. You should read it. It really takes preparation to another level. I also research people heavily before big meetings, and I can tell you it has literally sealed the deal. And people have told me that afterwards, that it was a little bit obsessive sometimes, I admit, but it was my preparation that made me stand out from other candidates. So this is something we can all really learn from Jason. Who should read this book? This is a book for ambitious people who are willing to put in the work, because all of Jason's great ideas don't just happen without putting in direct and thoughtful preparation. You have to put in the time. You have to be smart about it. You have to pay attention. You may have to read the book twice, but they are innovative and they are things most of us will now know, so they are well worth your time if you want to invest in yourself. But it is an investment. It will not happen just by reading the book. You have to implement his strategies. So read it, but read it knowing that you have to do the work yourself. He's going to give you amazing information to get you there. Let me know how you guys like this episode and any suggestions that you have. We will put links to the books mentioned here, as well as the author episodes in the show notes. You can find them by going to bobbirebell.com/podcast/July 2019 books. If you aren't up for entire books, don't forget to check out Blinkist to get 15-minute text or audio versions of more than 20,000 nonfiction books. Go to bobbirebell.com/Blinkist for a free trial. And thanks to our great authors for helping us all get one step closer to being financial grownups. Financial Grownup with Bobbi Rebell is edited and produced by Steve Stewart and is a BRK Media production.